Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Welcome back to another episode of Janine Between the Lines, Literature and Lifestyle for Leisure. Not only do I have two repeat guests on today, but consistency. Who are we? I haven't recorded like 2 episodes in the span of a month in like years. Are you proud of me?
Yes.
I've got Shelby and Corinne here, both of which who have been guests on the pod. So welcome them to the pod, my friends.
Hola, mi amor. Aw.
And we have such exciting news for you. I don't know whether you're a longtime follower or if you are just jumping on the pod after hearing an episode or two. I created this podcast in anticipation that maybe one day I would have a slew of humans, actually any creatures, to read and discuss books with. And guess what we did?
What?
Someone tell us what we just did.
We made a book club.
There's going to be so much applause in this episode. It's not even freaking funny. We made a freaking book club. I have to like write down the date, but we just started the Lone Pine Book Club, and I'm pretty freaking stoked, dude.
It's exciting.
Isn't it exciting?
It just happened.
It just happened. How did this birth? We were just, where were we? We're at Uncharted, having our little Sunday reading dates, you know, and
You just went, oh, I have an idea.
And then it came out.
She farted and there it was.
No, and the thing is, I was, you know how Google and technology, it reads your freaking, what does it do? Like it listens to your voice, and then it like all your ads and everything, it makes it so that it's catered to you. And I kept getting this notification for this app called Fable, which it's awesome. It's kind of like how Anchor, like I used Anchor because I didn't know what to do. Like I didn't know how to like stream a podcast and make it get sent to like Spotify and Apple Podcasts and stuff, but it does it for you. So Fable's kind of the same way. Not sponsored by Fable, but also if you want to, that'd be sweet. But definitely,
Janine, tell us what Fable is.
So Fable is an app on Android or iPhone, and it is an app that helps you manage book clubs. So you can have groups of people follow you. You can all read books at the same time. It's also a reading app too, where you can like Kindle and all that jazz. But it is a platform that is made for discussion of books that you choose. There are actually some like really cool authors on there who make their own book clubs who you can follow and do all that stuff. But pretty much it's like it's a book club app where you have members and a community, and you can discuss while you're reading, which is the fun part, I feel like. Because like with the podcast, it's nice. A majority of the episodes are me by myself, and sometimes I just wish I wish somebody could be sharing in this with me right now.
Give input.
And input would be really nice. Have you been in a book club, Shelby?
Not formally.
Not formally?
Mm-mm.
No.
I'm really jazzed.
Good. Yeah. Corinne, you have?
Really
I have, yeah.
Is it just one, or have you been in multiple?
Just one.
Okay.
With coworkers from my last apartment, and it's been going on for a while.
Yeah.
And it's just fun.
Yeah.
Sit down and all talk about the book. And one of the ones we read, it was like the Practical Magic series. And by the time we met up, someone had already read the other books in the series between that first one and our meeting. She just loved it so much. She was like, oh my gosh, now I'm reading all of them.
I know. We're 30 strong right now, so TBD on meetings and stuff like that. But I just wanted to have all our moderators on and then talk books and things. Our first book that we're going to be reading is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab.
Shelby and I are crying internally and almost externally right now.
And I know that, like, and the reason why I feel like I wanted to start it too was because at that moment, on that moment, we were like, you guys were telling me what book that I should read, and it was like a slew of tears. And I was aching for something like outside of a series.
I kind of feel like the first time the three of us got together to read was the birth of the book club, obviously, but I think it was kind of born in Addie LaRue.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because we were like trying to think of a book that you should read.
Mm-hmm.
We're like, oh, I wish that like we could read it at the same time.
Yes.
Right.
Yes. And both of you were messaging me like separately, like, no, Corinne did. You were the first. You were the first shot in the dark because you were like, I saw that she read. I need somebody to discuss this with.
Yes.
And then she was like, and then when Shelby, you told me to read it, I was like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. We're all gonna read it, and then we're gonna go out and like discuss it over wine and drinks and stuff.
Yes.
I can't wait.
Is that not like the essence of a book club?
It is.
Isn't it?
It's like when you read one of those books and you're like, oh my God, I just need to unpack all of this with someone. I just felt so much.
Let it out of my body.
Yes.
Like when we were sitting down at Uncharted Tea, Shelby and I were just looking at each other, trying not to spoil anything in front of you. It was all in our eyes. We're just having a moment.
There's so many, just like you're like sending like subliminals the whole time while I'm sitting there. And that's the great thing about Fable too. They really should sponsor us. But like you can read, if the book is uploaded on that app, you can narrate, but like annotate and actually react like in real time. If you're on chapter 3 and you're like pissing your pants, like I want to be able to tell someone all at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, I'm pissing my pants right now. And then I'm going to be like, you too? I'm wet.
Whoa.
Fully moist.
Then that is the joy of the Lone Pine Book Club to come.
One cool thing about the app too is like if you have the book itself on the app, you can highlight specific parts of the book and actually react in the moment.
Ooh, I like
And
that.
then it just like annotates it and saves it for you. So
Oh my God, so many quotes.
I know.
It's the writing for me. It's just so poetic and beautiful. Oh my God.
Okay, what can you tell us about it that will sell our listeners to start reading along with us
About the book?
about the book? Yeah, and why they should join Lone Pine Book Club and follow Lone Pine Book Club on Instagram too.
I think, I mean, speaking from an Addie LaRue standpoint, the book itself is magical because it is both like historical fiction, but it's also romance
Yes.
with not only someone else, but like
Yourself.
like the feeling of truly being seen for the first time.
Oh my God.
Yes. It's so good.
What age is Addie at this
In
at
her
this time?
20s?
In her 20s?
23 or
Okay.
26 or something.
But she lives,
To be over 300 years old.
yeah, she's like not invincible, but like immortal, right?
Yes.
Mm.
And as for joining the book club, I would say everybody's looking for community.
Yes.
You know, you want
So true.
like-minded people or even people from different life backgrounds or perspectives. People who love to read.
Yes.
It's a reason to join.
What we were talking about too is like right now, I think we're all in our fantasy world right now. Like our genres
Always.
that we have been. Oh yeah, it's
Yes.
always for Corinne. It's actually somewhat always. It's like consistently. I go back to that. If I like stray from a genre, I'm like, oh, I'm craving like a good blank. It's fantasy for me. It's the fantasy for me.
Always back.
Yeah. But like that, and then you think of it when you're reading a book, the images and like the narrative and the characters that you create in your head while you're reading, you're doing that journey alone while you're reading it. But then if we have a book club, we're all taking it together, hand in hand. And then we get to just share and you know, everyone's going to be different too, how they digest something and every perspective is going to be different. I just feel like it benefits you so much to even hear other people talk about how it affected them.
That's what I was going to say, like different standpoints and everyone can reflect and like base their understanding on their own experiences in life. And Also challenging.
Yes,
challenging
yes.
your views of things.
Yes.
specifically, yeah.
I'm excited for heated debates. Respectfully.
Respectfully.
Respectfully
yours.
I disagree.
Oh my God. I'm so excited. We actually have, I'd say a pretty diverse group that has joined as well. A good handful, because if you are a listener again, you are probably all know this, but we're all nurses here. So there is a good like percentage of us that do work in healthcare, but then there are like the stragglers too, who have different professions and things to bring to the table. And I have literally been dreaming of this since like 2020. No, before
2020 vision.
Oh, let's go. So if you are interested, if you have always wanted to join a book club the way that we have, and you don't want to, yeah, that's the thing too. If
Finish your sentence.
I don't remember. I have a scroll
you
brain.
always wanted to.
If you've always wanted to join a book club but have been nervous to do it or just haven't for any reason, this is probably the easiest way to do it too, because you don't need to be with us in person to do it either. So if I have friends that are in Florida, which a couple of mine have, you can just read along and follow our milestones and stuff and still be able to react and participate in the conversation, even being freaking countries away. We have someone from the Czech Republic who joined.
Yeah, it's exciting. I mean, whether you're like far away distance wise or you're like a busy stay-at-home parent or you have a job and kids and there's not a lot of free time to meet up, you're not available that day, you can still do it virtually.
Exactly. And yeah, we will be opening either like maybe IG Live or Zoom or something like that where we could record. You could even just listen and sit in. It's all here, baby. It's all here, baby. It's gonna be amazing, and I'm happy. I told Teddy, I was like, "Oh yeah, that's a screech." I think I got. Oh, you got it. You're better than me. But anyways, I was telling Teddy that I think I just needed a push, someone to push to actually start it, and I haven't been. When I started working in Scarborough, that's the first time I was like really aware that everyone is like such an avid reader.
Yeah.
We have so many coworkers who like read like 3 or 4 books at a time. Like it's wild.
Yeah.
And with our society too, we live in a society. But in our society, everyone, that's been something that they've been pushing us to do. Like, why don't we start a book club? Why don't we start a book club? And of course, because we're the go-getters of the unit. So, it's actually been such an incredible journey. We kick off February 1st. We will leave the link of the book club and the Fable app and how to join and things in the episode details. And just to give a brief overview, I feel like this is a telling fact for each of us. We are the moderators. Shelby, Corinne, and I are the moderators of the group. And I feel like I wanted to take an episode that you could get to know us before, we actually meet like in person. So I asked the ladies with light preparation, we're all in our little fantasy steeds and like in that mode, a lot of like female heroine in the books that I've been reading, that's for sure. So us. I think I want to start with Corinne. Oh, what would you say that your superpower is?
This is one that when you initially asked me to think of this, I was like, ooh, I gotta put that on the back burner because that's a lot of pressure.
Oh,
what is my superpower?
Has it been burning?
And I gave it some thought today, and I'd have to say emotional intelligence, maybe. Ooh. And like reading people. And I think some of that stems from being like an empath, and then some of it stems from like being in therapy. Right? I don't know. I feel like I'm very introspective. Like compared to Ryan, my partner. I don't know if it's like a guy thing in general, but for me, I feel like I'm constantly like evaluating myself. If I'm angry for some reason or just like having a negative emotion, I'm like, okay, well, where's that coming from? So I don't know. I feel like a lot of, what I've learned in therapy and just in life, I can apply to others.
Yeah.
Maybe in a non-judgmental way, but
Yeah,
I know it's
yeah.
helped me a lot with like being a leader and just being a friend. And so
preach.
I don't know. I feel like it's a good life skill. I'm
Yeah.
like, I guess that's my superpower, maybe.
I can see that. I can respect that. That's pretty. Yeah, I think I can see that from you too, because whenever we do work together, when we debrief on our days, if anything happens, you kind of like delve deep into why someone would feel that way, or like the precipitating events that led them to that decision or that sentence or whatever they've talked about.
Yeah.
But I feel like I think being a healthcare worker also has a part in that as well.
Yeah.
I think who was I talking about this with? Do you think that's a learned skill?
Yes.
Ah,
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. It's definitely like learned. I think everyone could do it.
Yeah.
If you just put the time into it.
I don't know. I don't think everyone is that. I know a good handful of people
To me,
who are.
it feels like everyone could, but I don't know if that's just because that's something
Yeah.
that I was born with. Maybe it's Maybelline.
Yeah.
Maybe I was born with it. I don't know.
I like it. You're like, so in a movie, you'd be like a freaking mind reader, bro.
Yeah. If we had to apply it to like a fantasy world,
Yeah,
I'd be like,
yeah.
what would the version of this be in a
Yeah.
fantasy world? Mind reader, and that's not the skill that I would want. That's probably the last thing I'd want. Actually, I wouldn't want to read everyone's mind.
But what if it was selective though? Like when
Then
you
it
were
would be
talking to
okay.
some- that would
Very
actually be pretty sick.
intrusive, but okay.
You'd be a really good therapist.
Oh my
Oh god, that'd be wild. You know, before I initially gave you like the superpower prompt,
Yep.
I made it into a bigger thing, which maybe I'd like you to divulge into now. So when you think of like fantasy worlds, don't you think of like the setting, like the environment, like in Harry Potter or something?
Yeah,
like you've
like
got Hogwarts and all
Dystopian,
that kind of stuff. Yes.
like dark or light, and like Rivendell.
Yes. What does your fantasy like world look like? Like, does it look like Rivendell, or does it look like frickin' The Wall in Game of Thrones?
Definitely not the wall. What would my fantasy world look like? I don't know. I
Yeah.
would like
Isn't that kind
like
of
a
hard?
bunch. That's hard.
Yeah.
Before you asked, what would your fantasy world be like? And it wasn't necessarily like background, like what would it be for me? And I said like Blue's Clues, like in the sense that I go, if Blue can do it, we can too, and I could just jump into whatever book I want.
Oh, I love that.
I would want mine to be very varied. I'd want to bounce between different things.
I see. I see. I was
Not
gonna
just
say
one setting.
I was like, what do you want? It like the Hunger Games, like a bunch of different districts? No, I don't.
No,
think I
maybe
would.
kind of similar to Skyrim, which I'm sure Shelby can relate to in the sense that like there's different lands, like there's like a very snowy section, and then there's like a kind of like desert section with like hot springs, and then there's a very like
Palm Springs.
yeah, there's a very like autumnal section. Yeah, mud bath. It's just I don't know.
That's a big one.
Hard one.
That's a
big
hard one. When
I couldn't pick one thing.
Yeah, I don't think I could either. I think of like Michael Scott, and he's like the body of a otter and the mouth of
exactly
a pelican. And then- just like everything all in once. Okay, Shelby, tell me what yours is.
So I'm just going to like piggyback off of what Corinne said, because my immediate thought of my like fantasy world, I don't know if you guys have read The Midnight Library.
I have not yet, but I heard so much about it.
My
I've heard
gosh.
such good things.
Okay, well, this book impacted me like on a cellular level, and I say that a lot, but truly. And the library, the actual Midnight Library, is essentially what you just described. It's like you open a book and you jump in.
What?
It's hard because like, you know, the book club, you want to get to know the people in the club, and I want to like reach out and read new books, but I'm like, I want to experience that book with other people so badly.
Yeah.
We're moderators. We can choose.
So yeah, that's mine. I mean,
We're gonna have to read it and
I
find out
can't
what that
choose.
world is like.
know.
It's so so good.
Coming soon.
Okay, so your superpower was like very wonderful and like intelligent. So I asked my coworkers.
Oh,
I asked Ryan that one. I was
Yeah.
like, it's like one of those questions. How would your friends describe you?
Right.
Yeah.
I can't answer that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
I'm excited.
so I just met them, right? I just
Yeah.
started this job in November. So they don't really know me very well, but something happened in the room in which someone forgot what they were talking about, and I immediately reminded them. They were like, "Oh, Shelby, that's your superpower, is you just remember what was happening when no one else does," which is so not true. But someone else said I was good at active listening, which I feel like I get distracted pretty easily. But if someone's truly like trying to confide in me, I can actively listen for sure. My choice was Rave Mom.
Ooh.
My
You are a
superpower
rave mom.
is Rave Mom. And I think, again, that kind of stems from being in the healthcare field and being a nurse, but also from being a big sister
yeah.
and just
There we
like
go.
wanting to take care of the people around me, but also making sure that they're like having a blast.
Yes.
And that we like get to the shows on time and then we have a ride home. You know what I mean?
Yes, yes. Oh my God, that's the opposite of me. I'm reckless, bro. I needed
But
you.
know, maybe that, it's like kind of maybe why people pair up with other people that are different. Or
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I think us nurses we have superpowers as it is. But
That
me
is true.
personally,
That's true.
I feel like I also like to be included in the fun. So
Yes. Oh,
I'm going with Rave Mom.
Yes,
I like it.
No, I
Cool.
like those last two. After the time that I've spent with you, I can attest, and I second that truly. I feel like if there is nobody who looks at me so intently when I'm telling a story. Like this is, I wish you guys could see my face, but like I really feel like you have eyeballs on your whole body facing me whenever I'm telling you something, like, and like the active, like, you know, and that's something that we do get instructed in that in school too, but I think that's just part of your being.
Yeah. Maybe.
And
a learned thing though.
Yeah.
Just what Corinne was saying.
yeah, but also not only are you like present, like, and I feel like there's like 5 of you cloned watching me while while you're talking to me, but like it's always after that, like, what's the sentence you always say? It's like,
How can I support you?
How can I support you in that venture? How
But
do you?
it's
and
true.
then you know,
it's like I
how do you feel in that?
recognize
Yeah.
that this is your journey, and like, it's just your world, and I'm just living in it. Like,
that is
how
true.
can I be a part of this for you? Or,
Yeah.
like, what do you need? And that kind of brings me back. I know it's kind of a little bit off topic, but when active listening, Kevin and I were talking about this. Like, do you need like a listening ear? Like, do you need support or do you need solutions?
Right.
And
Yep.
I think that's been one of the biggest learning curves for me, is because I'm a fixer. I'm like,
Yeah,
I'm gonna make
yeah.
this better.
Yeah.
But sometimes you just have to freaking listen.
Yeah.
Maybe they just want to.
Just
Vent.
gush. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let it out. I agree with that.
Yeah.
That's a direction that I've taken from you as well in my own relationship. Yes, very much so. Kind of heavy. Well, but definitely that.
Teddy, are you there?
Can you hear me?
Are you there?
Teddy, how can I support you? On me?
Need a res.
I need air support.
I literally have no idea what you're doing.
Kurt and I have gotten into Call of Duty, so a lot of our lingo has been centered around that.
Oh God.
Oh my God. And then the second thing that you said, actually, was it the first or the second thing? Oh, second thing, Rave Mom. Yes, Rave Mom.
Yeah.
I do feel very, again, as a reckless person. Corinne was we were talking about having a Boston trip, and automatically she was like, we're not going without the men because I can't have you running out on me and getting lost.
I need multiple people to chase you down. Shelby's hands raised.
Shelby's gonna come to us too, and she was like, "Because I have a reputation. I'm flighty. I don't trust myself really,
All you have
but
to
I know
do,
that
Corinne-
about myself."
Corinne, the key is to put her in heels that she physically cannot run
Oh,
away
I
in.
like that. Put a little padlock on them.
And she'll say, my puppies are screaming.
with me limping around. Maybe
I
that's
want
the
it in
key.
like a mobster accent.
those. I don't know.
Enter the chat.
Oh, Papa's all screaming.
Janine just left her body.
Oh, the Hobbit says, I'm as tall as the elves in these shoes.
Is it Stitch or is it Gollum? I just
It's their child.
It's both. If Stitch and Gollum had
It's
a love
cursed
child.
breeding.
Anyway, I'm gonna go. You guys,
Star-crossed lovers, Stitch and Gollum.
There's a fan fiction out there for that.
I'm sure
Oh my God! Whoa! Oh Jesus Christ!
Let's move on.
Oh, okay. Anyways,
What's yours?
I wrote down 2, and I'm gonna go with my first. Actually, I'll briefly mention my second one because I feel like there's not too much to say on it.
Yeah.
But I wrote down chameleon.
I immediately know what you're saying.
are a lead.
How do you say it? Oh wait, she hasn't read it yet.
She'll know though.
Oh,
when
she'll
she
know.
reads
She'll
it.
know. She'll know. Wait, how do you know what I'm saying?
I feel like you can jump into any situation and just like
Adapt.
adapt and be.
Yes.
Not only adapt, but like thrive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, freaking
But-
fast tongue. My flies just catch.
What did you mean?
That is kind of what I meant.
Okay.
And I feel like, again, some of it is learned. A good handful, portion of it is learned, not only like professionally but personally too. I feel like I've been surrounded by a lot of different and diverse like people and patients, and traveling too. Like being able, like needing. That's like a survival skill. I feel like is being able to go into a new workplace and like catch the vibe of the coworkers there. Like.
Mm-hmm.
So true.
Not exactly, because a standing pillar that I stand by in terms of myself and my personality, I feel like I have pretty much been the same person, and I don't like jump ship on like the things that I like or anything, depending on who I'm with.
Mm-hmm.
But definitely like with interactions and working and stuff like that, I feel like it's quick for me to like catch a vibe and see how they need
common
me to
ground.
be. Yes.
I've noticed.
Yeah, and I don't think that, like you said, I don't think you sacrifice what is important to
Yes,
you.
myself. Yeah.
Which is, important.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, you're not quick to mold yourself into other people,
Mm-hmm.
like taking things from other
Yeah,
people, but
yeah.
just making
Being,
the best of it.
because I know people back in Florida. I think I told the story before, like who. I know people back in Florida who would be like quick to be like, if a group of people that they wanted to be friends with did something, like, oh, I do that too, and then like try to like learn it or like be something that they're not, just to feel more like accepted.
inauthentic.
Yes,
Yep.
yeah. I had
And
one
I
friend
noticed
did
that a lot when I moved up here. That
Really,
people are more authentic.
Yeah. Yes.
More
oh
my
God,
vibe.
100%.
I agree.
100. Is it like that in California?
I bet. My guess. That would be my guess, but I do
I
not
think
know.
like it's hard to just say the entire state is one way. I'm sure you guys are feeling similarly, but like I think the thing in California is to be original,
Yes.
like painstakingly so.
So
like,
it's very different. Yeah.
how can I be different than everybody else to get attention?
Wow.
Yeah. Florida's more like,
The opposite.
how can I be like everyone
In
else
with the crowd?
and
Yeah.
in with the crowd?
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
California is definitely its own vibe, but
Yeah.
it's what inauthentic in its own way. Would you say?
Yeah,
This whole
it's
be
true.
original.
Yeah, because it's almost like it's phony.
Yeah. It's like West Coast. Yeah,
Yeah.
bro.
Yeah,
That's my West Coast
Totally.
accent. Totally tubular. Is that what it is? Yeah. Okay. And then I think that my superhero, my superpower that I mentioned on top is also a testament of just everyone in the room as well. Like all the moderators. I think that we're all like tough AF, bro.
Absolutely.
We all have super strength in a way. Like we've been through some shiz, and the stuff that I was like I had going on, like sometimes health wise or like mentally or anything like that. I'm like, we're all like kind of soft, but we're also really like strong, and we somehow find ourselves pulling ourselves out of, bad situations or like tough times or anything like that. Like there have been times where I'm just like, freaking, this is never going to get better. And either I'm in pain, like physically, or going through it professionally, or, having a tough time with friends or anything like that. But in the end, we always come out killing it, always. And I think that's a superpower, and like the resilience of that.
Mm-hmm.
I think you said it best when you said we're soft, but we're strong.
Yeah.
And I think that there's something strong about the vulnerability of being soft.
Yeah. I think
And
that's
to not
too.
like let those tough times make you completely hard.
Exactly.
Right? To still maintain like a vulnerability to you.
Oh, she said it. I'm gonna flag that. that is because then we encounter a lot of people who have been through tough times, and that has like kind of what I don't have any other word, but like hardened you to like the world and really had bad outlooks and let it affect our day-to-day life. But the fact that we can still stay like, cute and
see the good in life and be happy and loving and
that's
connect to other people.
I also think that that's a choice.
That is a choice.
Is that a choice? Is that something that we're going to talk about later? It could be. Please stick around.
Choose to come back.
Please choose to come back. We're going to take a potty break, and we will be absolutely right back.
Un momento, por favor.
And we're friggin' back.
Hi.
Can you tell I'm on one today?
You're on one every day.
I am on one every day, to be honest.
When are you not?
Do you think I'm ever like not on one?
Yeah.
Very rarely.
When you're like
Upset.
having a bad day.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Like earlier this week.
Yes.
I
like
will.
yesterday.
I will say, I feel like this past week probably has sucked the most this year.
Oh my gosh. A whole 4 weeks, huh?
You got a long way to go, friend.
You got a long way to go, sister.
You got a long way to go, partner.
Yeah.
Yeah, and amen. Oh my God. Should we tell my mom's story?
No.
No. I don't think we should. I don't think we should. Not telling that story is a choice. Speaking of choices. Ooh.
Janine.
So sorry. I'm so sorry, everyone. Honestly, I thought, oh God, that's the one that doesn't stop. I'm sorry, everyone. Okay.
R.I.P. headphone users.
Turn your friggin' volume down. Anyways, before we left, Shelby kind of introduced our next topic. And again, I'm not me if I don't want to know my people on a deeply personal level. I don't really know where I was going with that, to be honest.
You want us to be vulnerable?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that is true. That is true.
I choose to be vulnerable.
So before I had a week of demise and hell, I had like a moment in time where I was not working out again and feeling like trash. And then, and I shouted out F45 on the last podcast too, on Memory Lane Morning Show, because I love them so much. Not only do they play hood rat music and it gets me like so hyped.
Yeah.
Like current our level like hood rat. Even more, they play like Lil Scrab, like old school Southern. They played Juvenile last time, like back that up, like all that kind of stuff, and it gets me pumped. Not only do they play hood rat music, but they are extreme. Like all the coaches are so freaking sweet. They're very like they're not like IG like baddies, you know what I mean? Like, you know, posing in the mirror and like having this like warped like
Making you feel
body
inferior.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll say the F45 in Brunswick, I equally can say the same. Like the coaches are immaculate. I also love that they keep you on your goals.
Yeah.
We don't play a whole lot of hood rat, but they do personalize it based on like who's coaching.
I see.
Oh, I
I
like
see.
that.
Yeah. And one thing I love about them is they don't have mirrors. Like
Yes.
you can't compare yourself to like the people
Oh,
around
yeah,
you
I
or
just
watch
noticed.
yourself
I just noticed that we
work
don't
out.
have them.
Yeah, it's like you're there to get, you know, to meet your goals. Mine
Yeah,
is
and
to
feel
get
better
stronger,
about yourself.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I love that I can't see myself.
Yeah, I get really in my mind. I think I've said it before. Yeah, I have the worst like self-esteem sometimes. Terrible.
I wish you could see yourself from our eyes.
Don't put me in a love trance right now, or I'm gonna end this all. But okay, so I love them so much because they really like got me back into loving like moving my body.
Yeah.
And I feel really great when I do. So I was coming off of a high after that, and that's when I thought of like this prompt for our podcast, because I was like, you know what? They were just like not preaching, but just like, you know, like giving us like a pep talk, like, you know, like you have one body on this earth, like you have a choice to, you know, come to the gym and like spend 45 minutes with us, like, you know, choose like foods that will nurture you and nourish you and put that in your body, and like not only consume that, but what you consume like online, like in person, and all of that kind of stuff. And I was like, I was just nodding my head. Dang, life, this is a choice. Like this is my life. I'm like in
Coaching
control.
your body and your mind.
Yeah, I know, right? I put my forehead up to the trainer, and I was like, yeah, I'm just kidding. So that got me like on a kick, and I was like, you know what? You're right. I have a choice. And one of my like lame sayings that I got from a podcast I listened to with Brene Brown and these love psychologists. They have they're both psychiatrists and psychologists, like married couple who have been studying like marriages, divorce, relationships for like over 60 years. And it's a science, and it's the Gottmans. And their whole thing on the last book that they wrote, it was like how you love somebody is a choice too. And I always say that love is a choice. And mostly what that comes from is like when I talk to my friends who are in committed relationships and partnerships and stuff, like how you like love your partner and show your partner love and everything, that's definitely a choice too. So I was like, dude, you know what? Everything is a choice. Whenever we are alive and breathing and being here right now is a choice. And the actions that we, you know, that affect us and everything like that's a choice too. So I had so many like categories, and I kind of wanted to break it up into like positive and negative like bullet points. And I told Corinne and Shelby to bring a couple of each of those to the table, one or two. And the first one that came to, did I not? I probably
You
did.
lied to us. You said come up with 3 choices.
Oh, okay. I mean,
But that's okay.
yeah,
we can add to
we
each
can
other.
filter, you know. And I wanted to. I know I just spouted off like 3 or 4 just now, but I wanted to come with like a negative one first.
A negative one?
A negative
Whoa.
one,
Real quick though, I wanted to ask you about Gottmans. Do you have the Gottmans deck?
I don't.
Okay. So speaking of love is a choice, I think I might have told you about this.
I
on
think
our
you
way
told
home.
Kelly and I.
Yeah, it's essentially the Gottmans theory into a deck of questions you can go through with your partner.
Huh.
It's really fun.
Yeah,
It's called like the love deck or something.
the love
Or something like that. It's really great. It's like prompted questions, tasks. Gets a little spicy.
Oh,
You get to
Little
choose like your
spicy
theme
tasks.
though. It's really great.
That sounds nice.
I've been wanting to It comes in an app too, right?
That's what I was referring to. Yeah. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Their research is great. Yeah, but the one that came to mind mostly, and Corinne knows about this. Shelby. Yeah, you do. It has to do with a coworker of ours that works at a different department at a different campus. But a big one, now that I save it, this isn't very negative, but it is relatable. I think that mine, in the terms of like blank, is a choice. The way that you communicate with somebody is a choice. And I mean this in the sense, I talked about this on the morning show too. We have someone who sent us a message, and it was to our group Facebook page, and it really wasn't very well received. And this person that I'm referring to, they're like a higher up somewhat. They're not our bosses or anything like that, but the tone of the entire message was very condescending, and it was very kind of like talking to us like we're 10-year-olds pretty much. And we're all nurses, we're all professionals. We all kind of, and it was regarding like the nurses union and stuff. So that in itself is like a sticky thing to talk about. It's very sensitive for our group of people that we have in our group.
Is this what you were talking about at lunch?
Yes. And the thing that really bothered me the most was that person kind of prefaced his whole message and all of his like speaking to being like, oh, well, this is just the way that I communicate. Everyone else is usually like used to me. Like, this is just the way that I talk. So excuse me if this, not offends you, but like this, if you're reading this differently, this is just the way that I talk to people. And I'm like, really? That's really how good luck, because that's why you got banned and unfollowed. Like, you're not going to be posting like that anymore in here, because how you talk to somebody is a choice. And I would have felt a little bit more gratified to accept and maybe like bring that into our group if maybe he was a little bit more professional and understanding, but he made the choice to be like, it's almost like he talks that way because like it's cute to him. Like, and it's like, oh, this is my personality and I want to do this. No, that's okay. You really don't. We're all adults and you should speak to us like we're adults. And I think that you made the conscious choice to talk down to us. So guess what? You have been ejected from the chat, my friend. And not just professionally too, but like I can see this in relationships too, like with Teddy and I, like if we're ever in arguments or anything like that, like the words that leave my mouth and the tone and the attitude in which I say things, I have to make conscious decisions on how I kind of reply depending on how I want the outcome, what I want the outcome to be. You know what I mean?
Yes.
That communication is like, it's nuanced with every conversation, but it's like, that's how it should be. And maybe it reflects back to like, being an intuitive person, the way Corinne was saying too. Like you kind of have to be able to like read the room and know what who your crowd is. And I don't think that he was capable of that.
Like, read the room, bro.
Yeah. In the end, he did not get approved, my friends. So that's my like negative one. Okay. Does anyone have like a negative or positive? I'll take anyone from the floor.
I mean, mine's kind of neutral.
Okay.
If that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have like a specific like blank is a choice,
Mm-hmm.
but I think I would like to go back to what you were saying, how like the things that come out of your mouth and the way you say things is a choice, and
Mm-hmm.
how that can be kind of like, if you zoom that out, every action has a reaction.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So we don't always have a choice of the actions of others.
Oh, yes.
But like our reaction to those things
Oh, yes. Yes.
is a choice.
Very much so.
You know what I mean? So like what goes up must come down, right? So like for every action there is a reaction, but we have a choice in that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That ties in with one I had.
What was yours again?
Mine was you. A choice is what you let affects you.
Yes.
I can't even talk. What you
Say it again.
let affect you is a choice.
Yes.
What you
Yes.
Yeah.
So like what you filter.
Yeah, what you feel,
Somewhat.
or you know, you choose how things affect you,
Mm-hmm.
in for the most part,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
within reason.
Within reason. Yep.
Hmm.
I agree.
Mhm.
It's like if you
I can
have-
take things really personally, or you
Mhm.
could choose to just let it roll off your back.
exactly.
Yeah.
I for one tend to
Mhm.
take things very personally.
Because, like you were
Yeah.
saying, Shelby, you can't control how other people behave, and
Exactly.
you can try to be reasonable with them. Try to have a
Mhm.
conversation. Some people just aren't really receptive, and
Mhm.
you can either choose to move on, or you can choose to let it bring you down.
Yes, their actions are not our responsibility.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
also like the way you're interpreting the actions and words of others is also a choice.
Mhm.
Yes.
So
Yep.
like you were saying this person that infiltrated your
Mhm.
your work group,
Mhm. Mhm.
like the way he was speaking maybe didn't seem all that intrusive
Well-
or like what's the word whatever he,
Harsh? I don't know. Yeah.
like
Yeah.
maybe he didn't mean to be speaking that way, but the way it was coming off is the way you interpreted it, which I entirely am on your side, but like
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Devil's
But
advocate
then
is
at
the
this,
choice.
yeah, and that too, like on that same vein, people in general should be like more aware that it could have been interpreted the way that I did.
And he
Which-
chose to be like, this is how I
Yes.
communicate.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Inflexible.
I agree with that. I
Yeah.
like that one because I do think I don't think that I'm a I don't love conflict. It's not my favorite thing in the world. So when people do, commit things that I take personally and things like that, I've tried to get better at that over the years. I'd say in the past 1 or 2 years I've attempted to like shed the part of me that really, really cares about what people think about me and stuff, because I don't consider myself a polarizing person. Like people like, some people like, there are people we meet that, a group of people could either really like this person or a group of people really don't like this person, even like celebrities, things like that. Like I used to take it very personally when people didn't immediately like love me right off the bat.
Yeah.
Because it just doesn't happen, because
Sounds amazing.
but I agree. That's definitely a big one. Yeah. And I'm still working through that every day.
Yeah. This is kind of like I don't know if it's redundant, but you kind of talked about how love is a choice. I wish I remember where I heard this, but it's like every day you choose your partner,
Mm-hmm.
and regardless of the fact that, like, let's be real, there's always options.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Just the conscious choice of like choosing that person in itself is a way of showing love. I
Yes.
guess.
Yeah, that's
You know what I mean?
that's the context in which I meant it.
Yeah,
Mhm.
like even though it's hard,
yes.
like it can be hard.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that kind of goes into what Corinne and I were talking about earlier, because choosing to love your partner is a choice, but love in itself is not.
Not a choice.
Yeah.
Big.
There's layers to it.
There's
Yeah.
layers to
So
the
true.
shoes. Yeah.
So true.
Yeah.
I also. Oh, sorry. What were you saying?
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was also going to say that choice itself, in some aspects, is a huge privilege.
Yes. Very much so.
Yeah.
I thought you were about to say, I was like, are we going like super like meta here? Choice is a choice.
I actually have that written.
Do
Choice in itself is choice in itself is a choice.
Yeah, that is true. And it's not available for everyone all the time.
It's not.
It's a privilege. Yeah.
Scary. That's just life. On God.
Oh God.
I'm sorry.
You need to activate the Lord.
Yeah. Corinne, do you have another one? I want to
I do.
bring it to you before I go in on
see.
mine.
When you had initially asked me this prompt, it was right after I finished reading The Bluest Eye. Oh God, that book is so hard to unpack.
Are you crying?
a little. I was like, it's so sad. Anyway, so one of the things I came up with was it's a choice to look outside of your box and your perspective, right? Just because, I am a white woman, I could still choose to acknowledge other people's perspective.
Very much so.
Wow.
Yeah.
I see a lot
It's
of
deep.
it's deep. That like kind of ties into it because we were talking about earlier. Because one of mine was like being open-minded is a choice, and also being closed-minded is a choice too.
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I feel like a lot of ours tie in together.
yeah, that is true.
And
And that's
relate,
on
yeah.
moderators.
Left-handed.
Left-handed. We're
moderators.
all left-handed. Left-handed ladies of Lone Pine. I love it. So the reason why I was excited that you chose that, can you tell me what that book is about first?
Oh,
Is it
yeah.
is it hard
She's-
to?
it's a hard read.
Uh-huh.
It's basically about it's so hard to describe. It's different people's perspectives on one person's life. So you get it was like, I think, tough for Toni Morrison to write. It was her debut novel.
Okay.
And you get the perspective of her mother, her father, some kids that live with her in the neighborhood, other neighbors, on this young black girl's life. And it's just so sad.
God.
Do you get her
It's so good.
perspective as well?
Yes.
Okay.
A little bit. Or yeah, I think very briefly, but almost every chapter is someone else's perspective. And she's mistreated throughout the novel. A lot of trigger warnings on that one. A lot. Various trigger warnings.
So maybe not one we'll bring to the book club.
No, I think it's too heavy.
Yeah.
But I
Yeah.
think it is one that people should read.
Yeah.
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 Thank
For the
you
culture.
for telling us about
Of course. Yeah. I read it. I was like, oh.
You were pretty emotional reading it. Every
I
time
was.
I asked you about it, you're like,
Yeah, I have to sigh before I talk
every
about
time.
it. Yeah.
Dang.
It is when I bought it, I was in Plymouth with my mom and we went to this little bookshop and they had a big table and it wasn't labeled, the table, but it was just a big stack of books. And that was on my reading list when I wanted to read. So I bought it, and the book shopkeeper, she said, "You're the first person to buy a banned book." It's a banned book.
Really?
Yes.
Dude, but I
What?
think we should have a banned book to discuss one of these
totally.
days. Yeah.
Wow, I wonder why.
There's like some of the
That's a
trigger
loaded
warnings. I'll tell you the trigger warnings.
Okay,
The
okay.
trigger warnings would be animal abuse,
Mm,
at least twice.
mm,
Incest.
mm.
Yeah, there's a lot.
You know, that
I see.
name, it feels very familiar in
Toni
my brain.
Morrison.
Yeah.
She also wrote Beloved, which I think
Okay.
is another heavy book.
Okay.
That's on my TBR.
She might have been a guest on a
but-
podcast that I was listening
Really?
to
Yeah.
too. Yeah. Dang, might have to put that on my list.
Wow.
But I agree about the perspective thing.
Mm-hmm.
That is so interesting.
Yeah. I would say like growing up in a Asian household
Mm-hmm.
and also Asian. I lost my train of thought. But growing up in an Asian household, both of my parents were immigrants. I would say they had a closed mind to a lot of things coming to America, and a lot of predetermined beliefs that they were taught to be right, which were very hard for them to shake up to this day. But they still, it's like a work in progress for them. So the things that I'm referring to in that sense is there's like a lot of you can't even call it systemic racism, but there's racism kind of embedded in them from living in the Philippines and then coming here. In itself, like in the country, I can't speak to other like Asian Americans, but definitely in the Philippines, there's very strong beliefs of not only like colorism, where Filipinas and Filipinos of like darker skin were, I think to this day are sometimes treated a little bit differently and worse than those with lighter skin tone. I had friends growing up who would use like real strong whitening creams to make their skin if they had really dark parents, where they would look like a little less tan. I, on the other hand, I was a sun baby. I wanted to be as tan as I could be.
I want to be dark this summer.
Yeah. And like plot twist, I'm already kind of dark to begin with. But not now though, because I'm losing all my blood. But also, like that sense, that was kind of that has like historical roots, like just in the Philippines to begin with. Similar to like African Americans too, how the darker you were, the more that indicated that you were either gathering rice or a farmer or something like that, not someone who was privileged to stay inside the whole time. So that, and then coming from the Philippines to America, there's kind of like they came in with the belief system that their goal was to be liked and accepted by mostly Caucasian Americans in Florida, at least. You know, we lived in the South. And it was really important, like, that my parents were, you know, in their workplace, at least. Like, it was like, it felt more comfortable for them to be around more white men and women. And they felt like they were afforded a lot of luxuries because they surrounded themselves around them, and they wanted to put that on us. For the longest time, I would say up to like middle school, my parents, and you know, I love my parents, and a lot of it is just like internal, like things that they wanted us to do, but my parents wanted me to be with a Filipino man, and a Filipino man only growing up. Like, you need to marry a Filipino boy. You like them? They're not Filipino. They're not white or Filipino, but mostly only Filipino was the way that I was raised. And that, if I were to continue with that mindset, that would have been a choice. And I definitely think that being able to, like you said, step out of your own box and really be able to explore other mindsets and other cultures. And imagine if we didn't.
No.
My life would be so boring.
It would. I think we kind of touched on that too, right?
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, how boring would life be?
Yeah.
Like,
You're just experiencing the same things like over. It's kind of funny because when I was growing up too, and like I was on the verge of like moving out and stuff, culturally, like I had, we had our little circle of like Filipino friends and everyone that I grew up with. I'm the only one out of my friend group that moved out of Florida and is not still living like in that same conglomerate, like that same part of Jacksonville. Yep. And I'm happy that I did, because life's too short, you know, to stay in your own little bubble. And the world, that's what I tell everyone, the reason why I started traveling. The world's too big. And there's too much to experience to just stay in one place for the rest of your life. And that's on that. Period.
It's a choice.
Yeah. Definitely a choice. And, you know, I wanted to know your thoughts too, because I feel like the colorism thing is prevalent in almost every culture to begin with too. Like there's for some reason on my, like, I don't have TikTok, but on my Instagram reels and stuff, I see like podcasters and people like posting about how, and I don't see it a lot in like white podcasters, but I did see a handful of African Americans and even Asians, like different form of Asians, being like, why wouldn't you marry someone that's in your race? What are your thoughts on that? And the reasoning is to like preserve the culture. No one's going to understand your struggle the way we do. And it's almost like a slap in the face if you go outside of your race.
I think personally, like, I don't feel like I really have a true culture. So it's kind of hard to abide by like keeping the culture in the family, or, you know, like stepping out on my culture. But I mean, for me, it kind of comes back to the individual
Yeah.
Mhm.
and how you connect with people.
Yeah.
Regardless of where they're from.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm. What do you
Yeah.
think?
For me, it's always just been, who's this person? Like on the
Yeah.
inside, what
Mhm.
is the makeup of this person?
Right.
Are they a good person?
Mm-hmm.
I can't necessarily speak on people of other races or cultures and their preferences within their family, because I don't come from that background.
Yeah.
I don't really know what that experience is like.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if I should necessarily have an opinion on it.
Yeah. That is true.
I don't know if it would be right for me to.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what
Yeah.
I was like. I don't personally feel like
Yeah.
being a white female. I don't know if I necessarily have a culture that is
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I know for me,
spoken upon. I guess.
like half Portuguese and half French Canadian, but my family really connect with the Portuguese
Mm-hmm.
side of the family, and there's some culture there.
Yeah.
But it maybe doesn't run as deep
Mm.
as other people.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I kind of relate with you, Shelby.
Right, like I don't identify as a specific like
Yes, I
cultural
just
background. I guess
exactly. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I see that.
I
yeah.
like really appreciated hearing you expand on that though.
Yeah.
Yes.
It was really nice. Thank you
It's
for
nice.
sharing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's been a journey.
As
And look at me
mu-
now. Like,
I was just gonna say, as much as I like, I love your culture, but I also love Teddy. So I'm glad.
that's what I was gonna say too. I'd like without doubt none of the men that I've been in relationships with have been Filipino. Yeah. Even when I like moved, I was like, I don't really want to date a Filipino guy because they're all the same. I know that's a terrible
Oh my gosh,
generalization.
Janine.
At least in where I was, like in Florida, like it was almost like just my personality is like in a romantic partner. No one, I was never attracted to them because I feel like everyone grew up in such close proximity. We kind of
Gotcha.
all acted the same. We liked the same things. Like so I was like, I think I want a man who's a little bit different. And that's
Back
what
to
I
the
got.
individual though.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Yeah.
And everyone's allowed to have preferences, you know what I mean? And I don't think it's like a slap in the face if somebody like, likes what they like, loves who they love, you know what I mean? So that's my choice. And it's my choice as well to open the field to any more choices.
Man, I think that's all I had. Choice is a choice, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's a choice to
Privilege.
Yeah, that is true.
It is.
Did you have any more, Corinne?
I think I had one or two more
One or two.
that are not as deep.
Yeah, I remember one.
These two kind of tie in.
Mhm.
Number one, self-care is a choice.
Yes.
Again, everything I say, I'm talking within reason, within your means.
Yes.
Self-care is a choice. I mean, it's something that you have to actively choose to do.
Mm-hmm. Choose yourself. Yep.
And what kind of ties along in with that is giving yourself grace is a choice. You can choose to forgive yourself.
I love that.
Yeah.
I said it wasn't
Yes.
going to be deep, but it ended up being deep.
That's a good one. That's such a good one.
Mhm.
Thank you for saying that.
Of course.
And
I learned that in therapy.
Yeah.
Shout out
Thank
to
you
my
to my
therapist
therapist.
if you're listening.
And that's the thing too. Like what spurred it too was that that whole workout thing I was telling you about. Like I was beating myself up, and I've in terms of like self-esteem and stuff, just like choosing to hate my body and self-criticize and all that kind of stuff, and then having to pull myself out of that and be like, you know what, body, you're doing the dang thing. Thank
also-
you
It
for
is.
keeping me
Yeah.
alive.
I mean, it's nice that you have that choice to pull yourself out of that headspace.
Yeah.
I mean, speaking from like a standpoint of mental illness,
Yes.
it's not
Yes.
always it's not always a choice.
Not
Yes, we were
always
talking
a
about that
choice.
too.
We
Yep.
were talking, we were like, there's layers within every single one of these things that
Yes.
we're coming up with. Like, love is a choice.
Mm-hmm.
Choose your partner every day.
Mhm.
You don't choose your sexuality.
Yes,
Like,
exactly.
giving yourself grace is a choice.
Mhm.
Choosing to forgive yourself.
Yes,
But then also, mental health.
yes,
That
exactly.
can make it difficult.
Exactly. Scary.
I love medication.
Just
Taking my meds every day is a choice.
Yeah. Staying on a schedule is a choice. And I agree. And I have trouble with that. a conscious thing that I have to be like, I think I wrote that in my journal, like giving myself grace, especially when I first started like getting back into working out again. Like,
Yes.
I'm not very nice to myself, and it brings back that stuff. Like, I feel like, well, one, as for you as a rave mom, that's like what that makes me think of is like you're hyping all of your friends up, and like I feel like a hype woman. That's like that's my brand, is like making my friends and everyone feel like good about themselves. But then I rag on myself, and I'm like, why? I've seen that question before. Like, you speak so nicely of the people you love around you. You should use that same voice towards yourself. Like, why does your internal voice not sound the same as you talking to the people you love? Like, you would never say those things about other people.
I have to say, I feel like a lot of the people that I surround myself with are the same way.
Yes.
That's how I am.
That's a choice too.
When I notice that they're doing the same thing, like one of my very close friends, Jen, is such a hype woman. She's always just saying the sweetest things. Like, she randomly messages me one day and she's like, I saw the picture you posted. Your light is shining so brightly, like blah, 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 all this sweet stuff. And then I notice she's putting herself down. I'm like, oh my God.
Don't you dare.
Like, I've said that before. I'm like, why? You speak about me so nicely. Why do you speak about yourself like that?
Yeah.
Like,
Be nice to my friend.
Yeah. Be nice to my friend. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys have seen this trend going around on the internet, but like putting up a picture of your younger self on your mirror, or like in a spot that you are often, being rude to yourself. Like maybe you're in the car and you're just like, wow, I'm fucking in my life. Oh, sorry, I dropped my phone. Or like you're looking in the mirror and you're like, wow, I can't stand my face. Or when you're getting ready for the gym and buy your shoes, you're like, I don't like the way my body is. You like see a younger version of yourself. Like, would I say that to that person in that photo? And like, how can I best serve that person?
Yeah.
I've never seen that trend, but I love that.
Isn't that great?
I have seen, like, on Drag Race, when they come down to the finale, the judges, they take out a photo and they're like, what would you say to little, like, so-and-so, like your younger self? And they do a speech and they're crying, and then all the other contestants are crying and I'm crying. Oh my God, it's so emotional.
Oh my God.
But I guess it's kind of similar in a way, right?
It is. It's
like,
that's what it reminded me
a
of.
past version of yourself.
Yes.
Like, you have created this version of yourself, and you've survived every single day since then.
Yes. Like, 100%.
Why wouldn't you want that person to be your number one?
Yes.
Your best friend.
Being your own hype woman is a choice.
Yes, it is.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to go cry real quick in the bathroom, but then we're going to be back for just like a little longer, if that's all right with you people.
See ya.
I can't believe I said that all in one sentence.
Wow.
Am I a superhero?
Are you? Okay.
Bye.
God, you are sexy.
It's so hot right now.
It can't be helped.
I have to take a picture. Just kidding. I wouldn't put you out like that. I wouldn't put you on blast
That
like
bad, huh? Gotta open my front-facing camera.
That bad, huh?
Yeah, it's that bad.
Oh God. So we are going on a mini girls' day after this. We're gonna hit up, hit the town, go to the local bookstore. You know,
Might go to Best Buy, get a PS5.
Line up around, get a Best Buy.
Hit
But-
the comic store.
If you didn't know this too, did we just say this? We're all left-handed.
Yeah, you did.
What? Anyways, because obviously for the last plug of the Lone Pine Book Club, I wanted to ask everyone what is their top contender right now on their TBR list. Because right now, again, we're going to hit up the bookstore, and that's going to be my interim book until we start Addie LaRue.
I'm gonna go broke.
I'm going to go
It's
broke.
the best way to go broke.
Isn't it? It truly is. So, Corinne, tell me what's number one on your TBR right now? Number one and or
you said
two.
books.
Okay.
I
One or
had
two,
two.
one or two. I have two.
So fantasy always. Right now I'm looking at a high fantasy and like an apocalyptic fantasy. The high fantasy would be the Stormlight Archive series by Brandon Sanderson. I've been looking at that.
Oh my God.
You're reading those, aren't you?
Yeah. Well, okay. I shouldn't say that I am reading them, but I just got the audiobook and I found the second one at the thrift store. I have the first one too, so I'm sure you'll fly through it in like a minute. So
Yeah, that's on there, and that's been on there for a bit because every time I go into the library or at a bookstore, I pass it by and I'm always like, what's that about? Like, I'm always just looking at
a
it like, I
twinkle
want
in
to
your
know
eye.
what she's about.
Who is she?
Who is she, and why do I feel like I need to know her? And then
Yes.
the other fantasy series is one I heard about from one of my friends from my previous job, who is also super into fantasy, and it's the 5th season by N.K. Jemisin. I've heard that's also one, Shelby, that you and I kind of looked at when we were at the bookstore, and we're like, we've heard great things about this.
I've heard great things
Kevin,
about her.
Kevin's read it.
And did he like it? Was it good?
He recommended it to me quite a few times now. But maybe a contender for the book club next month.
A contender.
I mean, unless you're planning on reading it right now, but
I can hold off. I can wait for everyone else.
It's hard for me to wait. All right, Shelby, what are yours?
okay. Well, you guys are more or less forcing me to start the Throne of Glass.
Yes,
So
yes.
I am more or less looking forward to that.
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yep. And then Corinne gave me the 100 Years of Lenny and Margot.
There's that
Which-
sigh.
The like holding back tears sigh.
Yep. So, I mean, my TBR list is like hundreds of books, but
Yes.
Dang.
that and like Blake Crouch. I need to.
Oh, Blake
get
Crouch.
into
I
Blake
was looking at
Crouch.
Recursion. I saw that. At
Is that the yellow cover?
that's the yellow cover
Yeah.
with like the infinity symbol.
Yep, I think I
Yes.
picked that one up at the thrift store too.
Oh, okay.
Guys, you guys are such nerds.
Okay.
Okay. Kettle
hear
calling
yours.
the pot or whatever. Whatever that
You
saying
want to be
is.
the kettle or the pot?
Yeah, there we go.
I love nerds.
Tell us.
Okay. So I keep telling myself, I don't know why I'm trying to do this, because I should do what my heart wants. But I'm like, do I want to start another series? Do I want to venture outside of fantasy? And I will say, I tried to start The People We Keep, which looks really good. It's like, I think it's just a contemporary, like romance, kind of coming of age kind of book, I think. And I started it, and it's like real life. And then I was like,
Too heavy?
No, I was like, I want to go back into a fantasy world.
Yeah. You want to escape.
Yes. So on my list, and this is hardcore, like I was drawn in by the cover, but the Scholomance series, A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik. I'm such a whore for arcane shiz right now. Like after reading Kingkiller Chronicles and just the magic and the mysticism of that, I was like, oh my God, it looks so good.
I was about to do. Oh my God.
Wait, Janine. Okay, before we go any further, I keep trying to remember to tell you this. Do you know that there is a Kingkiller's Chronicle novella
No.
called The Slow Regard of Silent Things? And
I just
think
like that title.
Yeah.
Me too.
What's the girl's name that lives like in the underground tunnels?
Oh yeah.
Is it Ayla? Ayla? Isla?
No, it's like it ends with an E. It's like a E kind of.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's about her.
Did Patrick Rothfuss write it?
Yes.
What? I didn't know that.
Yes. Love Regard of Silent Thing.
Dang, I wonder if Jordan
I
read
loved
it.
the titles of these books.
I know
The name of the wind. And I called out to the wind.
She says these things like randomly. She's like, I saw the wind and I called its name or something like that. And I was like, Corinne, you didn't even read the
I
book.
didn't even read
Why
the
are
book,
you
but
saying
somehow
that?
was it accurate or
yes,
not?
it came to you.
I don't know
Yes.
why. I've got a good sixth sense.
Is that on your TBR? It should be. It's girthy.
I heard
It's girthy.
the last book's not out, right?
He's
not.
never going to write it.
I don't like things like that.
That's
I
her
need,
she said she needs
I need a
finished
complete
series.
Yeah, I need a finished series.
I read the first one and I was just
Yeah, I don't like hanging on a
not
thread.
sold.
Yeah.
Yeah.
TBE. But yeah, I was like, if I know it's never going to end, why would I put myself
Why would
through
you do that? That's why I won't even start the Game of Thrones series.
Yeah.
I
Why would they go back and finish it now if you can just watch it?
I know. And that 8th season,
Yeah.
I'm going to stop myself there.
More side.
That says everything I need to convey right there.
Goddess. I had one more. Have you guys heard of the author Lee Bardugo?
No.
It's like House something.
Yes, The Ninth House.
Yeah,
Oh,
House.
yeah. I recognize the title.
So Stephen King actually like acclaimed this for being like really freaking good too.
I like his books.
And I think there's a healthy amount of smut in there too. I've been craving something a little smutty too.
Hi.
I haven't been reading anything
Breathy
like real
laugh.
spicy. So I think that one's because that's fantasy and like a little bit of romance in it too.
There you go.
Can't stay away, guys.
I just got to say, I'm so excited for you to read Addie LaRue.
yes.
I can't wait for everybody to read it together. It's like
so good. I'm looking
the
forward to
orgy
reading
I
it
never
again.
knew I needed.
The orgy. The 30-person orgy. Oh my God. Well, we will.
yeah.
We'll need to rent a house. Anyways.
Wow. On that note.
That's pretty much all I got, guys. Thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. Shelby, Corinne,
Thanks for having me.
thank you as always for blessing the mics with your succulent mouths.
I like how Corinne just doesn't say anything.
I'm just staring at the wall.
She's like,
This is exactly.
oh, well, I love you, everyone. Thank you again for listening. Make sure you follow Ginny Between the Lines on Twitter and on Instagram and the Lone Pine Book Club at Lone Pine Book Club. You heard it right. We coined that name and we took the handle as soon as we could.
That we did.
Join the book club.
Join the book
Join
club.
us.
Thank you for your support and we'll see you very, very soon. Bye.
Bye.
Adios.